Hey VC, this is Carlos from As the Table Turns. I just wanted to come on here and talk about a subject that I really like, a subgenre that I really like, and that is folk rock. Playing in the back right now is some folk rock, which is Flying Burrito Brothers, Burrito Deluxe. Hadn't listened to this yet, but I got it in Intervention Records. Doing some reissues right now, so pick this up. I already have the other. Let's get it out of there. Gilded Palace of Sin. I already have this one. Intervention Records as well. These are really awesome reissues. Mazzy actually just talked about these on his episode with. Forgetting his name. I believe his name is Michael from Germany, Dusseldorf, Germany, and they were talking about audiophile records, and they talked about these two records. So if you like the Flying Burrito Brothers, Intervention Records is doing their releases right now, reissues, that are really awesome, sound really great. So anyway, I'm listening to Flying Burrito Brothers in the back right now, and one of my favorite bands. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here and talk about folk rock, the beginnings of folk rock, but don't want to necessarily give a whole history lesson or anything like that, and I probably not the biggest expert. I have heard all those stories, like British invasion, Beatles, kind of really starting it with, I believe, their album Help. And then, also the story of, some people think it was Simon and Garfunkel who started it with The Sounds of Silence, or The Sound of Silence, which that name did change because that was The Sounds of Silence, I believe, was the first release, which had no guitars, no drums, no electric guitars, no drums underneath it, and then Tom Wilson, I believe his name is, without their permission, without them even knowing, went back into the studio because the album didn't sell, and they were basically just going to hang it up and not do any more. He went into the studio and said, well, let me try and see what I can do with it. So he put electric guitars, he put drums, and re-released it, and it was a hit. There's that story too, then there's the story of Bob Dylan, and I believe there's a story about the Byrds hearing Bob Dylan's stuff that he was going to be releasing, and they kind of started switching up their sound off of what he did. Then I also hear the same thing kind of happen with Bob Dylan and the Beatles, where he was hearing where they were kind of going with their sound, and so he was switching up things, so it's kind of a little muddy as to who really started it, but it's all fun to talk about that kind of stuff and get lost in it a little bit, but we don't have to necessarily. And then the Byrds themselves, that there's people are saying it's all about the Byrds, and the Byrds did it, and the Byrds, I think, did have a huge part in it, taking Bob Dylan's songs and putting electric guitars to them and making it more of a rock songs rather than straight folk songs. So, can show Gene Clark. He was the real powerhouse and writer behind that band at first. Before it was Roger McGuinn and David Crosby. It was Gene Clark, really writing the songs and teaching the other guys how to write. So he's kind of the big cheese on that, out of that group, as far as probably helping write and create that sound for folk rock. This isn't their first album, and I don't have this on vinyl, but this is definitely when the Byrds definitely went into the country folk rock sound, right? Sweetheart of the Rodeo. So I think that's a really awesome album. Love that album. Another band that really brought that folk rock sound was Buffalo Springfield. Want to get both of those on vinyl. This is another thing that a lot of people don't know about, but Gene Clark and Doug Dillard. Doug Dillard? Yeah, Doug Dillard and Gene Clark got together and they made that album. And this was kind of a really big, influential album as far as folk rock. So Gene Clark again, you know, really coming together with Doug Dillard from the Dillards and creating this album. Then they went on to, you know, be a part of numerous different, the Flying Burrito Brothers, you know, Dillard was a part of, then all the offshoots that went off the Flying Burrito Brothers and just different bands that people went in and out of. You know, there's Riders of the Purple Sage, there's forgetting a couple names. Anyway, take a drink. And I'm drinking wine. I don't see a whole lot of wine on the VC. There's mixed drinks, there's hard alcohol, there's beer, but drinking some wine right now. I don't usually drink white wine, cold white wine or chilled white wine, but it's a hot day, man. It is very humid. I live in the Salinas Valley, and usually we have a very moderate climate, but it is very humid today. I feel like I'm in Florida. Anyway, I wanted to show, so Bob Dylan, you know, this is kind of where he really put a lot of electric and kind of created that folk rock sound with this album here. Went on tour with the band, who I believe is very prominent because Bob Dylan went to a recording session with John Hammond, and that's where he heard the band for the first time. I don't know, for the first time. He probably heard Ronnie Hawkins, I'm sure. But anyway, the band. This comes later, you know, and everything. But I'm just showing that because these guys, I think, are kind of unsung heroes as far as the folk rock, because I think that's why this album was the way that it was, because he heard John Hammond in the studio with them, and he loved their sound backing up John Hammond, and he took some of those same elements, and I think he put them in bringing it all back home. So I think that they were very influential in the whole folk rock movement early on, along with Gene Clark and the Byrds. But anyway, kind of just going through stuff here. You know, once again, these things happen later. Like I said, Flying Burrito Brothers, Gilded Palace of Sin, that's an awesome album. This is the one I'm listening to right now. Like I said, Burrito Deluxe, Flying Burrito Brothers. Then we got, you know, albums that come later, you know, Crosby, Stills, Nash, great album. Anyway, I'm jumping all over the place here, guys. I just kind of wanted to show albums that are really influential as far as folk country rock. GP from Graham Parsons. Anyway, his band, the Submarine. Forget their name. Submarine band. He was a part of. I mean, that's another huge one, as far as folk rock. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't want to show that stuff. This is what I'm drinking right now. Is Luli from Sauvignon Blanc from Arroyo Seco here in the Salinas Valley. So the Santa Lucia Highlands. I'm a big wine guy. I like wine. So anyway, if you want to pick that up, it's pretty good, pretty tasty. Anyway, But yeah, this is a really awesome album. If you don't know the band, they're amazing. This is Mobile Fidelity. Sounds really awesome. Showed this already, Gene Clark. This is a Rhino pressing, RTI pressing. This is a great album too. Just really, that one's really chill, just like kick back. I gotta change the record.
Fantastic flying burrito, brother.
All right, so I'm back. I had to change the record out, flip it, B-side, but yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to show. Oh well, this is kind of, you know, well, I don't hate on the Eagles. I love the Eagles, but this is kind of where, you know, where folk rock went, and I think this is kind of where it kind of died. Is, you know, after they, some would probably say when they started making music, some would say after they ended making music, but I'm a big fan. I like the Eagles. I don't think there's anything wrong, you know. Yeah, maybe some of their music is a little too catchy, I guess, maybe in some ways, a little pop rock, folk rock, you could call it, I guess. But I like the Eagles. I like all of it. So I don't think it's that outside the folk rock vibe that it's that terrible. But anyway, you can make your own judgments. So anyway, if you like what you saw, please subscribe, comment below, turn on notifications if you want notifications of more videos in the future. This is Carlos from As the Table Turns. Bye, VC.